Section 4.4, Day 2. We have a vertical translation. Recall when we have a function and we add 3 on the outside of the function, that moves the function up 3. So the plus 3 on this one is going to move the function up 3. Now there's a big difference between this one and cosine of 2x plus 3. This now does not move the function up because this is on the inside of the function, but this plus 3 is on the outside of the function. So let's graph this. We have the cosine of 2x plus 3. Let's get the period first. The period is going to be equal to 2 pi divided by 2, and that's this 2 right there. That's equal to pi. So this function has a period of pi, and then we'll have to move the function up 3 units. Here's the y-axis, and we have the x-axis, and we have 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Well, the midline will be moved up 3, so we're going to have to go up to 4. 1, 2, 3. There's the 4 marks. We'll make this pi. We'll make this pi over 2. And we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 marks to the left. Here's negative pi over 2. Cosine starts at 1, but everybody's moved up 3. Well, let's just graph cosine. Here, down to -1, back to 0, and up to 1. And then we'll go backwards with this. Go to 0, -1, 0, and 1. Now move everybody up 3. So now here, right here is the new midline. That's the new 0. And so this is going to be up at 4, and then we have 0, down to -1, back to 0, up to 1. And then we have 0, -1, back to 0, up to 1. So here's the graph of our function right here. Graph y equals 3 sine of x minus 2. This is a vertical stretch by 3, and this is down 2. Now this would be much different if it said 3 sine of x minus 2. This would be right 2 instead of down 2. But as it is, this minus 2 is on the outside of the function. There's the y-axis. Here's the x-axis. And this function will have a period of 2 pi. 1, 2, 3. Fourth mark is 2 pi. 1, 2, 3. Fourth mark is -2 pi on this side. And we're going to go up to 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So the lowest sign will be on this one is -3, but then we're going to move everything down 2. So there would be the lowest point, but we got to go down 2 more. Sine starts at 0, then goes to 3 in this case, back to 0, down to -3, and back to 0. And then going backwards, we'd go to -3, 0, 3, and back to 0. But now we're going to move everybody down 2 units. So the new midline, the new 0 is down here at -2. So we're starting at 0, going up 1, 2, 3 here, back to 0, down to 3 below, which puts us at -5, and then back to 0. So there's one complete period of our function. And then we're going to go down 3 from the midline, back to 0, up 3 units, 1, 2, 3. That puts us at 1, and then back to 0. So there's 2 complete periods of our function. Horizontal translation. When we add or subtract on the inside of the function, that moves our function left or right. This is minus pi over 4, so that's actually going to move to the right. There's the y-axis, x-axis, and there's nothing in front of x, so our period is going to be 2 pi. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. Here's 2 pi. 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. Here's -2 pi. And we're going to move everybody pi over 4, but first we'll go up to 1, down to -1. Sine starts at 0, goes to 1, back to 0, down to -1, and to 0. Then we go backwards to -1, 0, 1, and 0. But now we have to push everybody over to the right, pi over 4. Well, this is pi right here. This is pi over 2. That's half of pi. This is 3 pi over 2 right here, and we do have a dot there. So half of pi over 2 is pi over 4. So everybody gets pushed over a half a mark. So we'll push this one over here. This one gets pushed over a half, this one a half, and this one gets pushed over a half. Same thing on the other side. So everybody gets pushed over a half a mark. Here, not on the line. So this is our graph right here. 2 complete periods. On our next equation, we have y equals cosine of x plus pi over 3. And this graph is going to be pushed left pi over 3. Let's get our x and y axes. There's the y-axis. Here's the x-axis. And there's nothing in front of x, so our period is still going to be 2 pi. So our fourth mark will be 2 pi. 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 2 pi. And we're going to go up to 1 and down to negative 1. Cosine starts at 1, then goes to 0, negative 1, 0, and back to 1. And the same thing over on the other side happens. Now we have to decide how much are we going to push, how much is pi over 3? Well, if this is negative pi, and this is negative pi over 2, half of this would be pi over 4, so there's negative pi over 4. Well, pi over 3 is a little more than pi over 4, so this mark is going to be pushed almost pi over 2. So almost pi over 2, almost maybe right there, and how about that far right there? So this one's going to come over to here, this one here, that one will move over, and this one the same amount. So we're estimating that this much is moved pi over 3 to the left. Graph the following. Y equals cosine of 2x minus pi over 2. There's a number in front of x, so the period will change, and it would appear that we're moving pi over 2 to the right, but we have to factor a 2 out. We have to get this to be a 1 before we decide how much this graph is being shifted right or left. So we need to make this cosine of 2 times x minus pi over 4. And if we distribute the 2 back through, we'll get pi over 2 back. So really, this graph is being pushed pi over 4 to the right. Here's the y-axis, here's the x-axis, and we will have a new period for this one. The period now is 2 pi over 2, which is pi. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's pi radians, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's negative pi radians. And we're going to have to push this right pi over 4. We'll deal with that in a second. Cosine starts at 1, so maybe we make 1 up here, negative 1 down here. Starts at 1, goes to 0, negative 1, 0, and 1. And we'll do the same thing going the other way. Now we have to push this right pi over 4. Well, this right here is pi over 2, and it's great that one of our marks is pi over 4, because now everybody gets pushed over 1 mark. This one gets here, this one here, over here, and over here. Yeah, this one pushed over here. There we go. And we got 2 full periods of this function. Y equals 3 sine of pi x minus 2. Now there's no parentheses, so this minus 2 is on the outside. There's a value in front of x, which is pi, so the period will change. And the new period is 2 pi over pi, which is 2. And it's okay that we don't have a pi in the period. It doesn't matter whatsoever. We're just going to make that fourth mark a value of 2. There's the y-axis, x-axis, and this graph is going to have an amplitude of 3, but we're going to push it down 2. So we're up 1, 2, 3, and we're going to have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because the midline will be pushed down, and then we'll go down 3 from there. Now sine, well, let's make the 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth mark is 2, and we're used to seeing pi's there, but it's okay to not have pi. That just means 2 radians, rather than having a decimal radian. And we have negative 2 over here. Sine starts at 0, so we start at 0. We would go up to 3, back to 0, down to negative 3, and back to 0. So -3, 0, 3, and 0. But this is everybody's being pushed down 2. So I have to go, the new midline is down at -2. So all the zeros get pushed down to -2. And then everybody else gets pushed down 2. This is down 2 units, this is down 2 here, and down 2 there. I think we have everything. So now we can draw the wave. Graphing calculator. Find the values of x in the interval -pi to pi that make each equation or inequality true. We have negative sine of x is equal to cosine of x. So let's put negative sine into y1 of x, and we'll put cosine of x into y2. And let's make the cosine a little thicker so we can tell the difference. And in our window, we're only going from -pi to pi, so an x min. We have -pi, and here we have pi. Pi, there we go. And we're going to go, how about every pi divided by 4? In the y min, we can go to -1, and in the y max, we can go to 1. Let's graph this. There is negative sine of x, and here is cosine of x, and we're looking for the places where they equal each other. And it looks like we have -pi/4, and we also have 1, 2, 3 pi/4. X is equal to -pi/4 and 3 pi/4. Write the equation of the given function. Write the equation of the given function. Here is a function right here, and I have to pick a nice point. I can either pick the highest point, which would be more of a cosine function, or I can pick a point that's on the x-axis, which is where sine starts. Well, now I have to figure out, do I know how far this has been pushed to the right? And it's a little bit vague. This one is a little bit more clear in my opinion. It's been pushed over 1.5 marks. Let's figure out how much a mark is. If that's 2 pi, this is pi. That mark would be pi/2, and a half a mark would be pi/4. So that would be 1/4, 2/4, 3/4. So if I use sine, this has been pushed to the right 3 pi/4. We have y is equal to, sine starts at 0, but sine usually goes up from there. This one is going down, which makes it a negative sine. And the amplitude is 2. So we have -2 sine of x minus 3 pi/4. Now I need to see, is there going to be a number in front of this x? In other words, has the period changed? Well, if we start the wave right here, we finish one complete wave right there, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 marks, which is 2 pi, and that's normally what sine is, so we don't have a number in front of x other than 1. Let's look at this second graph over here. The first thing I notice is this graph has been pushed down. The x-axis is not cutting it in half, so let's find out where the halfway mark is. Looks like it's right there, and this wave is 3 up and 3 down, so the amplitude is 3. So we have y equals 3. We might have to make that negative. Now cosine starts at its highest point, so let's start this graph right here. That means it hasn't been shifted left or right, but the period certainly has changed. We go from here to there, and that's one complete wave, which is a length of pi. So we have the period is equal to 2 pi over b. We have to find out what b is, and we'll put that in front of the x. Now we're using a cosine function, and cosine does start at the top, and we need something in front of x. Well, if we switch these two, we have b equals 2 pi over pi, so b is equal to 2. So we have cosine of 2x, and everybody has been pushed down 3 units. So we have minus 3, and that minus 3 is on the outside right now. If I put parentheses around this, that would put it on the inside, and we don't want that. Write a sinusoidal function with the given period and amplitude that passes through the given point. So the period is 2 pi over 3, and the amplitude is 1/4.